The house was silent the moment Daniel stepped onto the porch. It wasn't the kind of silence that comes from peace, it was the kind that comes from years of heartbreak. And right there, standing in the middle of the open lawn, was a young woman in a light blue dress, her hands gently holding a white cane, her eyes shielded by a soft black blindfold. She wasn't speaking. She hadn't spoken to anyone in years, but everything changed the moment Daniel whispered something no one else ever had. Before we get into the full story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoy emotional stories about kindness and humanity. You're watching Kindness Diaries, where real kindness changes lives. Daniel wasn't supposed to be there that morning. He had come by only to pick up a financial document from a well-known CEO named Mr. Harrington, a man respected across the country for his success, but rarely seen in public without his hardened expression. Daniel, a single dad raising his 8-year-old son, had recently started doing part-time accounting work for him. He never expected to meet the CEO's daughter. Her name was Lily. As Daniel walked across the yard, he saw the young woman standing perfectly still. Her posture was strong but fragile at the same time, like someone who had learned to survive without truly living. Her father stood a few feet away, watching her with an expression Daniel didn't understand at first, something like fear mixed with hope. Lily, the CEO said quietly. Daniel is here to pick up the file, but Lily didn't speak. She didn't even react. It was as if the world outside her mind barely existed. The CEO sighed, his shoulders sagging under a weight Daniel didn't yet know. Daniel took the folder from him and turned to leave, but something made him stop. Maybe it was the slight tremble in Lily's fingers. Maybe it was the loneliness in her face. Maybe it was the way the CEO silently prayed she would say something, anything. Daniel found himself walking back toward her. Is it okay if I say something to her? He asked gently. The CEO nodded, though he looked unsure. Daniel approached Lily carefully, not wanting to startle her. He stood a few steps away and spoke softly, as though talking to someone who had been hurting for a very long time. Hi, Lily, he said. My name's Daniel. I won't touch you, and you don't have to answer me. I just wanted to say, it's a beautiful day out here. I hope you can feel the warmth too. Nothing's no movement. No shift in her breathing. Daniel hesitated, not knowing if he should continue. But he understood silence. His own son, Jacob, had barely spoken after losing his mother. Daniel knew what it meant when a heart shut down, and what it took to open it again. So he stepped just a little closer and whispered something he had whispered to his son so many times during their hardest nights. You aren't alone. The world froze. Lily's fingers twitched. Her chin lifted slightly, as though a thread somewhere deep inside her had finally pulled upward. Daniel held his breath. Then, in a voice rough with disuse, she whispered back the smallest word. Hi. Her father dropped the coffee mug he was holding. It shattered on the porch. But neither Daniel nor Lily even noticed. Because for the first time in years, Lily had spoken. Daniel felt his chest tighten. He hadn't expected a miracle. He'd only wanted her to feel seen, even for a second. But Lily's father was staring at her, stunned, tears building in his eyes. Lily, sweetheart, you spoke, he said, his voice breaking in a way no one in the business world had ever heard from him. Lily turned her head slightly toward the sound of her father's voice. Daddy. He walked toward her slowly, as if afraid she would disappear if he moved too fast. When he reached her, he didn't touch her. He simply stood close, trembling. Daniel stepped back, realizing this moment belonged to them, but Lily wasn't finished. She turned slightly toward Daniel again. You sound kind, she said softly. Daniel didn't know what to say. His throat tightened with emotion. I just know how it feels, he finally answered. Being alone when you don't want to be. Lily's head tilted. You do? Daniel nodded even though she couldn't see it. My son went through something similar. Sometimes silence is the only place that feels safe. This struck Lily hard. Tears pooled beneath her blindfold. Her father gently rested a hand near her elbow, not touching without permission, but letting her feel his presence. Sweetheart, he whispered, why didn't you talk to me? Why didn't you say anything all these years? Lily's voice shook. Because you were always so busy, and I didn't want to be a burden. Her father let out a sob. A raw, heartbreaking sound that Daniel had never heard from the powerful CEO before. You could never be a burden, he said, taking her hands carefully. Not ever. Daniel watched from a short distance, feeling like an outsider witnessing something sacred. After a few minutes, Lily turned toward him again. Daniel, she said with surprising steadiness, could you stay a little longer? Her father immediately looked at Daniel with gratitude. A lifetime of pain in his daughter's silence had left him helpless. Now, someone had broken through with a single whisper. Daniel nodded, of course. Lily smiled, small, delicate, but real. They walked slowly to the porch together, Lily holding her cane with one hand and Daniel's voice guiding her with gentle directions. For the next hour, they talked. Lily shared pieces of her world, the world she had hidden from for years. She explained how losing her sight had changed everything, her confidence, her friendships, her belief that anyone could ever love or understand her again. Daniel listened with patience and warmth, speaking to her like someone who mattered deeply, not someone fragile. Her father listened too, finally hearing his daughter open up in a way he thought he'd never experience again. At one point, Lily asked, "Why did you whisper to me?" Daniel looked out at the field. Sometimes a whisper feels safer than a shout. Sometimes we hear the quietest words the loudest, because they're spoken with intention. Lily took that in. It felt warm, she said. Like someone turning on a light in a dark room. Daniel smiled. Maybe the light was always in you. You just needed someone to remind you. Later that afternoon, Daniel's son Jacob arrived after school. Lily immediately reached toward the sound of his footsteps. "You must be Jacob," she said. Jacob answered shyly, "Dad says you're brave." Lily let out a soft laugh, the first her father had heard in years. "Your dad is kind, and kindness feels like bravery when you've forgotten how to hope." The CEO turned away, wiping his eyes. As the sun began to set, Daniel finally stood to leave. "Thank you," Lily said, reaching out slightly, as though wanting to hold on to his presence just a little longer. "For seeing me, even when I couldn't see you."